I'm not against AI, but I'm against a bad use of AI and its dependence in everyday life. Today in our time, social networks have become spaces of social isolation contrary to popular belief. Each more or less anonymous person wears a mask of well-being and sometimes wears a mask of honesty where everyone tells a false story and shares false feelings. I know all this, and I have learned it from experience over time. Behind a smile hides a malaise and sometimes deep suffering that ends up exploding or calming down depending on the person. I have experience of social dialogue on social networks and outside social networks, and I can tell you that appearances are often deceptive. In the dialogue with a person suffering mentally, you will find that the person will make a lot of effort to show you that they are fine. And sometimes they will go so far as to ridicule you, to trouble you and end the conversation. As the conversation progresses, you will see a dissonance in the dialogue. The dialogue is cut off by the deafness of this person, and you will only be confronted with the ego of this person and his stiffness of mind. Some will have behaviors avoiding by dodging a conversation of a sensitive subject about themselves. Others will simply flee or suddenly shut up. All these behaviors lead to social isolation, and everyone should not fall into community paranoia, because excessive protection of oneself leads to social isolation. It is true that personal matters must be shared with people you trust, but you must know how to open your heart to those around you. Everyone can have a good constructive dialogue while setting clear limits if necessary in the conversation, and in a respectful manner. To return to AI, I think that a useful use in what humans are not capable of would be beneficial, as well as for scientific research that requires in-depth reflection. For me, AI is a tool for human advancement and not for destruction, much less for mental sabotage. Finally, there are currently some new women's movements on social networks that aim to reconcile the men with the women by the piece. Some are falsely traditional and others are sexually modern. The problem with the situation of women is that patriarchy is closely linked to women and their lifestyles, which means that women have a second-class human status compared to men because of social, economic and scientific dependence. Originally, patriarchy is a power relationship that is defined by social and financial hierarchy. Few people know it, but there are women who have contributed to today's science and technology, except that this recognition is ignored or not very visible simply because of this unequal power relationship between men and women during several centuries and up to our era today. Patriarchy is the male human who imposes his rules. There are various types of capital, which are financial capital, social capital, family capital, professional capital. Furthermore, historically, one of the oldest unofficial professions in the world is the female prostitution of Western women, Caucasian, and here too, there is a hierarchy of popularity and an ancient model that is gradually hypersexualized with the time. Sisterhood, The sorority should not be linked to a negative ideology. Thank you.